So, dear guests and passengers, I'm really honored to welcome our first speaker. And he is a famous person, especially in our industry and beyond. He is the founder and CEO of Luma Partners. And he is also the inventor of the colorful LUMAscapes. And I'm pretty sure that everybody who works in this industry use these helpful guidance and these overviews, because otherwise you would be completely lost with all these ongoing changes, the new players who are coming up every day, more or less. And these LUMAscapes are a good advice for everybody in our industry. So he is a famous investment banker with more than 20 years of experience, and has advised on transactions worth more than $300 billion, including some of the most pivotal deals in the media and technology industry. So, and he will provide us his personal impressions about the hottest deals, about the latest trends, about the most important players in today's time. And I'm sure we all can learn a bit more what we can expect over the next, well, at least couple of days and weeks, and maybe there will be also some announcements during the dmexco itself. Ladies and gentlemen, Terence Kawaja, the CEO and founder of Luma Partners. Terry.
Thank you, Christian. I really want to talk about the current state of digital marketing and media right now could be described as a tale of two cities. And A Tale of Two Cities is a famous story about, you know, the best of times and the worst of times. And that really does encapsulate where we are today. But for purposes of, since we're on a flight, I thought I'd contextualize it. So we're going to go with a tale of two airplanes. Now, these two airplanes are seemingly similar but different. One of them takes place in the summertime, let's say to a holiday destination, maybe the south of France, perhaps, where, you know, you spend a lot of time partying and drinking and, you know, talking about a bunch of things, not terribly serious. Now, this next plane takes flight in September, when people are back to school, back to work, where things are really serious. One could actually describe it as pure business. You get the idea. The reality with today's digital marketing ecosystem is that we have both these challenges and these opportunities. So it's, in many cases, it feels like the worst of times, with issues like transparency and measurement, latency, privacy, viewability, fraud, adverse context, ad blocking, digital duopoly, and fragmentation. It's like a hit list of challenges to the ecosystem. Many of these issues will in fact be dealt with at dmexco, but tonight I want to focus on, in a few minutes, just the opportunities, the pluses, the upside of digital advertising. And those are, I want to talk about programmatic, people-based marketing, artificial intelligence, convergent TV, and strategic exits. Let's get into it. Well, programmatic. We all know that programmatic a means of buying media and selling advertising has really taken the industry by storm. It's been growing at an incredible rate of near 50% compound annual rate, and we're now at over 3/4 of all display media being purchased programmatically. It's really taken over. But the real opportunity in programmatic is not just its scale, it's the fact that data-informed media can migrate marketing spend from a discretionary expense to a cost of goods sold, because you get a tight connection between spend and results, much like search. And that's going to fundamentally change the marketing industry. Next is people-based marketing. Let's think about, you know, on the challenge side, why are Google and Facebook garnering so much share of the growth of digital advertising? It's because they know who you are and how to market to you. And it's that very, you know, historically, we had this disconnect between the anonymous data collected in the marketing funnel versus CRM data, known information about known users. Very, very different and hard to connect. We saw it through social media and through Google, and now with people-based marketing platforms, we're able to combine these two worlds of information to significantly improve marketing spend in both efficiency and effectiveness. That ought to be a total game changer. And it's based, obviously, on identity, user identity, profile, location, cross-device, and then linking online and offline. So it's that identity is the key to people-based marketing, which is no wonder so many big companies have taken both organic and inorganic, code name for M&A, by the way, initiatives to garner these capabilities in identity. Pretty much across the board, all the major marketing clouds have made these major investments. Artificial intelligence, a key component to how all this marketing spend is going to take place. Listen to the leaders in the industry, whether it's in the NVIDIA CEO or the Google CEO. Clearly, the view is that AI is going to completely revolutionize digital marketing. And you can see it in the orchestration layer of taking the CRM stack with identity and with applications to each one of these channels, whether they be email, advertising, or even text-based marketing initiatives. So AI is going to be a critical tool. When people talk about new things in digital and they reference, AI or VR, with no disrespect to the VR that we're going to hear about, which is amazing, but in advertising, I'm sorry, those are not going to be the big ticket items. Focus on where the money is, and the money is in television. So television is about to become digitally addressable. It's by far the biggest opportunity in digital, and it's ripe for disruption right now. We're talking about a $75 billion market just in the US. The way that business, the way that whole industry is setting up right now is like a Game of Thrones. It's like a battle for the future of TV, where you've got the big digital giants really taking the offense versus the incumbents on defense. And their strategies are very, very different. The tactics used by the new digital players, they're focusing on the consumer experience. And they're plowing a ton of dollars, billions of dollars into content so they can improve the viewing experience. The incumbents, what are they doing? Well, they're relying on good old-fashioned regulation. In fact, they've never had a better friend than the Trump administration to try and block some of these digital giants. Plus, they're using dollars with M&A to improve their position. And you can see it just with the verticalization of media, where the content and the distribution are coming together. All the major telcos are lining up, buying media assets, and we're likely to see a lot more to come once AT&T closes on the Time Warner deal, so be watchful for that. But finally, by far the biggest benefit to the current state of digital marketing is the state of the buyer universe. Let me just, for the first time, talk about what I'm calling the great ad tech cleanup. We had, in 2013, a slew of IO-based, that is to say non-programmatic-based ad tech companies go public. Sadly, they performed poorly. By the way, highly expected. I came out and said, this is likely to happen. Sure enough, they all disappointed and all these stocks deteriorated. In fact, if you invested $1 5 years ago in the stock market, it would have over doubled. In ad tech, if you had invested in these IO companies, you would have lost 3/4 of your investment. So it's no wonder it's been seen as dismal. M&A is so by the way, we're now seeing the last of these IO-based companies getting taken out of the marketplace. That's going to be very good news, because it'll free up for better companies like Criteo, like the Trade Desk, and hopefully some more soon that are not based on the IO, but rather programmatic or technology. Still the bulk of the exits, we're seeing a tremendous amount of consolidation taking place of private companies getting bought out for significant prices. This is fantastic news for founders and for innovation as it continues to fuel funding. Speaking of funding, last year, when venture capital dropped for the first time in several years, people came out and said, oh my God, is ad tech dead because venture capital is down by $1 billion? What they failed to look at, that's the yellow bar, what they failed to look at was the blue bars here, which is the private equity investment that amounted to over $10 billion just in the last 18 months. And we've seen an acceleration with that, with half a dozen deals just this summer of private equity getting into the space. We see this as a natural maturation of the sector, where later stage money, less risk-prone money comes in to rationalize and consolidate the sector. This happens in every single industry. This is good news that it will happen in our industry. And finally, the single best news for the digital marketing ecosystem is the breadth and depth of the buyer universe. Deep-pocketed buyers from at least a dozen different categories, from commerce, CRM, telco, media, data. They're all entering the sector. And the best news for you attending the conference here is that they're all at dmexco. I counted every single one of these categories is at dmexco. So this is the place to be to do deals, especially when the theme is pure business. 5,000 attendees, 1,100 exhibitors, over $3 trillion of market cap of the companies that are going to be at dmexco. So they're all here, they're all capable, and that is the best news that could happen to this digital marketing ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Terry, for this lively and really entertaining presentation and this great overview. As we said at the beginning, you are able to send us your questions about what you hear and what you listen for. So we received one question for you, Terry, and of course I would like to encourage you to use that opportunity also for the following presentations. Terry, one question from the audience is, with the increasing dominance of the duopoly, what is the future of the LUMAscape? In other words, what do you show us in a couple of years' time when we only have maybe 2 or 3 of those brands dominating the market?
So, as a joke, I did make a LUMAscape with only 2 logos on it, Google and Facebook.
Oh, it already exists.
So,
okay.
So the digital duopoly is a concern, because they are usurping almost all of the growth in the ecosystem. However, what people fail to realize is we're talking about $100 billion industry. They now control about 2/3 of that. Yep. That leaves $35 billion in other folks' hands. While that's not growing, those dollars are shifting within that $35 billion. So there's still plenty of opportunity for the right companies, for the innovative companies to grow. And obviously a $35 billion market is a very, very large market.
Got it. So one question which really interests myself and hopefully also the audience is, you spend a lot of time in the US. This is your home market, but you joined dmexco a few times, and you spent also a lot of time in Europe. So do you see any major differences between those markets in terms of the market players? Are there other brands defining our industry in Europe compared to the US or vice versa? So
Luma focuses on the technology aspect of digital media and marketing, so we're not selling agencies and the like. And for technology, the vast majority of the companies are located in the US. Buyers tend to be in the US, in Asia, in Europe, and we're in contact and doing deals with buyers all around the world, but the technology companies have largely been in the US, and one of the differences in the European market is it's harder to get funding and it's harder to get exits. There are very few exits of technology startups in digital media and marketing in Europe.
Terry, thank you so much for these interesting figures and this great overview. You will be on stage as well at
Indeed,
dmexco.
Looking forward to it.
As I remember right, you have 2 different roles this year. Mm-hmm. One as a moderator to run a famous panel, and the other one is a new format which we are introducing, a startup competition, the big finale on the big stage, and you will be one of our judges.
Indeed, looking forward to it.
That will be a great experience as well. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Great to be
here. Ladies
here,
and gentlemen, Terry Kawaja.
Thank you.
Thank you.